On these gray autumn days, sometimes it seems like the sun never really truly comes out, just oscillating between light gray and dark gray, and eventual darkness. It can be pretty depressing sometimes because the world lacks color. Color is what I want to talk about today. It's been a question I've seen on my stream a lot lately. People ask, Gun, how do you pick your colors? It's a fair question. How do I pick my colors? Color theory is a pretty complicated subject. It takes a lot of experience and time to just know that this color will match this other one and that this is how you need to rotate this hue so it looks correct in the composition. But today I'd like to show you a small trick after you have your swatches together, your baseline hues, about how to build that into a cohesive color set. The colors we're looking at here are the colors we used in the city isometric piece. What you'll notice is that you can see a pattern of there being 6 standard colors and then 2 variations of that color. There's a light one and a dark one. So how do we actually get those 18 colors? I'll refer to these 6 colors here as sort of my baseline hues. What we're going to do is we're going to create variations of these colors so that we get our whole color set. Let's take the purple. What we'll do is we'll duplicate it twice, holding down Alt, to create 2 variations of it. Now I'm ready to show you my trick. We're going to use my favorite thing, the HSL slider. What's HSL? HSL stands for Hue, Saturation, and Lightness. It's simply a different way of controlling where our focus is on this color graph. You have different sort of RGB sliders where you control the amount of red, green, and blue in any given spectrum. But for HSL, what we're going to be doing is controlling the hue, the saturation, and the lightness. So you saw our completed swatch setup where we had the lighter and darker versions. So if you think about HSL, let's control the lightness. We'll just crank this slider up to create a lighter version of this. Already that looks pretty good. You can control the saturation a little bit. Sometimes the brighter hues are not quite as saturated. We'll go with something like that. And we'll do the same thing for the other one, where we'll open it up and we'll turn down that lightness. We'll slide that down. And now this one looks really different. The hue sort of was the same, but it looks so different. How can we fix that? Well, again, the saturation is really the biggest culprit here, where some of these darker colors are still just punchy, even though they're not as bright. So we'll just turn down that saturation and maybe crank down the lightness just a little bit more. And then we have our set. This is a really good trick to save you a lot of time when picking out all your extra colors that are going to go with your baseline hues. And if you just repeated this going all the way across the line, you might run into a problem. Every hue needs its own little special attention and adjustments. You can't really just do the same settings for all of them. And this is especially true for yellow. It's kind of the problem child of the group. Doing the lighter one is pretty easy. You'll just open it up and you'll just make it a little bit lighter and it looks nice. The problem is making it darker, it quickly becomes brown. How do you fix this? Well, it's tricky. Most of the time, it just means that you don't quite go as far as you did before with the other ones. It's just extremely sensitive to lightness. And if you play with the saturation too much, you're only going to dip down into that brown even more. So keep it saturated, don't go as dark, and that's basically what you have to do. It's a tricky color to work with, and it is the most fiddly by far. If you want to watch my color picking process, or you want to ask some questions about maybe how I make these adjustments, come on by my stream at twitch.tv/number1gun. I'd be happy to answer them for you. Till next time, peace.